Welcome to Love Up lesson number 4. Today's lesson is a doozy. It can be quite confronting for some people, so we're going to move through it gently. Before we start, make sure you're sitting comfortably with something to write on for later. Pen and paper are ideal, but your phone will do. And here it is, Love Up lesson number 4. Forgiveness frees me from distress. As always, jot it down. Forgiveness frees me from distress. We often think of forgiveness as something we give to others. This is why it can be so confronting, especially if someone has done something terrible to us. It'll trigger thoughts like, how can I forgive them? They don't deserve to be forgiven. I'm still hurting, so I can't forgive them. Going back to lesson 2, these types of thoughts are triggered when we have a toxic relationship with forgiveness. A relationship that treats forgiveness like a reluctant gift we hand over to someone else that hurts us. So, how do we shift that relationship to a quality one? Well, it starts with the idea that forgiveness isn't about the other person at all. It's about you. Distress is a broad word for all the stuff that exists in survival mode. Panic, anxiety, overthinking, self-doubt, burnout, depression, the list goes on and on. When fear has us hooked and is in control, distress is what we feel the majority of the time. So distress is how fear feels. We can trigger distress through our thoughts alone, which love lessons 1, 2, and 3 have helped us understand. If I give myself a distressing thought, I'll get a distressing reaction. So if I live in hatred or resentment about something that's happened to me, I'm continuously triggering the distress that the event caused. Thinking of the traumatic event as an anchor, the anchor is attached to a rope, and you are the only one that can untie the rope from the boat and set sail. Forgiveness isn't about excusing someone else's behavior. It isn't about pretending something didn't happen. It isn't about letting someone else off the hook. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the emotional weight of distress. It's about untying the rope and letting the anchor sink on its own. We learn in lesson 3 that fear is then. Anything we need to forgive is something that keeps us in fear of the past or the then. The actual event is over. I may be keeping it alive with my stories. I may not realize its fear has me hooked. But the objective event is in the past and no longer exists, because all that exists is now. All that exists is I am. So forgiveness is the ability to come back to all the understandings of lesson 1, 2, and 3 and unhook yourself from resentment, anger, and bitterness. Not for the other person's sake, but for yours. Because once you let the distress go, you're going to stop recreating it. Once you let the distress go, you no longer have to carry around its huge extra weight. Once you let it go, you've pulled out a huge hook and are a lot closer to love. Think about a time you've held on to resentment. Maybe you replayed a conversation in your mind or felt that jolt of frustration whenever you thought about what that person did or didn't do. Notice how heavy that feels. Now here's the hard truth. Holding on to resentment doesn't punish them. It punishes you. And that heaviness is proof of that. When we refuse to forgive, we keep distress alive. We chain ourselves to the very thing that hurt us in the first place, even though it's in the past. Even though It's fear. And here's the key. We don't just do this with other people, we do it with ourselves. Just like in lesson number 2 when we explored our relationship with our thoughts, today we're looking at our relationship with self-forgiveness. How many times have you replayed a mistake that you made? How often do you hold on to shame, guilt, or regret? If a friend made the same mistake, would you punish them forever, or would you tell them, it's okay, you're human, you get to move forward? You deserve that same grace. So right now, write down one sentence. Forgiveness is choosing to free myself from distress. Next, write down something or someone you've been struggling to forgive. It might be a person, situation, or even yourself. Just one thing. Now read these words aloud. I get to free myself from distress. This doesn't mean you're ready to fully forgive in this moment, but it does mean you're choosing to shift your relationship with resentment, even by 1%. And that's the work. So today's focus phrase is, today, I choose to free myself from distress. Say it, feel it, and come back to it. So today's love up lesson is, forgiveness is choosing to free myself from distress. And our focus phrase is, today, I choose to free myself from distress. So let's practice this in our love up meditation. Sit comfortably, close your eyes and take a deep breath. And as we do in every love up practice, rate how you feel right now. 1 is calm, 10 is chaotic. And let's inhale and exhale and hold it for a moment. And with your next breath, feel the body release, your shoulders drop, your jaw soften. Now bring to mind the thing or person that you've been struggling to forgive, the one you wrote down. If it's yourself, see your own face in your mind. As you hold this image, silently say lesson number 3. Forgiveness is choosing to free myself from distress. Forgiveness is choosing to free myself from distress. It's not about saying the other person did nothing wrong. Forgiveness is choosing to free myself from distress. Notice any shifts or lightness in the body as you think lesson number 3. Breathe in. Feel that release as you breathe out. Now say to yourself, today I choose to free myself from distress. Breathe in and let go as you breathe. If there's resistance, that's okay. If you feel tension, just notice it. You're not forcing anything because we get what we give. You're just noticing. Direct your focus now into the middle of the chest and say these words quietly in your mind. I deserve to be free. I choose to be free. I choose to forgive. I deserve to be free. I choose to be free. I choose to forgive. Breathe in and let go as you breathe out. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. You've just taken a step towards freedom. Even if it's small, it matters, because every time you choose release over resentment, you choose love. Before moving on, write down a few sentences about what you experienced, even if it's just small. Write down today's lesson and focus phrase 3 times each, and if you can, download the Love Up reminder, set it as your phone wallpaper, and as always, ask any questions or share any takeaways in the Focus Fit Club. Let's keep loving up together.